must be about 4 years ago now, my then environmental advisor approached me and said she'd come across this wonderful idea that was a portal by which we could share items across the university. So the way it works is that any member of staff can apply for their own logon. They can upload work items that they're no longer using, whether that is equipment, whether it's furniture or some other item. Once that's loaded up with its photograph and details, then somebody else can go on and have a look for something that they're searching for. They might come across that item. If it's necessary, in other words, if it's quite a big piece of furniture, for instance, we can then arrange transport from one place to another. If the item, once it's on the system, doesn't move for a few weeks, then we can instead we arrange to get it uplifted and taken to our own furniture store. Introducing Warpit gave us the motivation to have a really good clear out. Very little ended up in landfill. The vast majority of it was actually reused or gifted to charities. The success of the system here at Glasgow and at some other institutions that were either interested in it or had maybe started using it has been such that we saw the benefits of actually entering into a wider partnership, so that if we had items that weren't shifting within our own organisation, it would be possible to see if somebody else could use them. We've developed a partnership called the Glasgow Asset Sharing, or GAS Group. It comprises 4 higher education institutions, along with Glasgow City Council and our local NHS board, which is NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde, as well as Glasgow Social Enterprise Network. The way we went about that is that we managed to secure funding from an organisation called Zero Waste Scotland to develop some property which was already owned by the council, to create a warehousing facility so that we had somewhere central where we could bring items between places. We have, certainly within higher education, we have existing networks, both of environmental advisors and safety practitioners. Those networks were really good for sort of like making those initial inquiries about who else was already looking at Warpit or might be interested in looking at it, so that we could really start looking at a much broader picture across a much bigger patch of public sector and big organisations that, all have the same sorts of logistical challenges and this, quite often very similar types of furniture and equipment that they're trying to move around. So it made an awful lot of sense, and it's actually been remarkably easy because people are really enthusiastic and positive about it. We've also been able to demonstrate really good business advantages and savings through using the system, which has made it a much easier sell, to our respective organisations. There are 2 main challenges. One is sort of logistical, and that's around transporting items from one place to another. And you need to make it as cost effective as possible, or else what you're realistically doing sometimes is asking somebody to pay a price for a piece of second-hand equipment that is not far off what they might pay for a new piece of equipment. So we had to find a way of bringing down our transport costs. We came across a social enterprise agency called DNDP, Delivered Next Day Personally. They were able to offer us a flat rate of £5 per item. So we make sure that we're filling the vehicles up rather than coming to move just one piece of item. The other advantage of using DNDP is the fact that they provide opportunities for people with disabilities to enter into sustainable employment. And that sits really well, certainly with our corporate social responsibility strand. And that chimed really favourably with most of the other organisations as well. The other one wasn't so much logistical. I suppose it was around perceived risk, and quite a few of our solicitors got nervous about us in the first instance when we were first looking at sharing items out with our own organisation. They were quite nervous about what the liabilities would be. Yep. So we spent quite a lot of time working with our respective legal advisors around putting in place the right documentation to make sure that we were keeping ourselves right. We were letting people know that they would still be responsible for making sure it was safe when it was put into use. Yeah. Really, I'm just really excited now to see how the wider partnership, how the gas partnership kicks off. it's just really exciting to see those new opportunities to share and save on a wider basis. So no, it's all good.